On the morning of May 29, 1453, the world held its breath. Behind the greatest walls ever constructed by human hands, the last remnants of the Roman Empire prepared to die. Before those walls stood a 21-year-old sultan, a man dismissed by enemies as young, inexperienced, and destined for failure. Within hours, he would shatter over 1,000 years of history and reshape the destiny of 3 continents. His name was Mehmed. History would call him Fatih, the Conqueror. And this is the story of how one man's relentless obsession brought down an empire that had endured since the age of the Caesars. The year is 1432. In the Ottoman city of Edirne, a boy is born into the chaos of a fractured empire. He is the 4th son of Sultan Murad II, and few expect him to amount to anything of consequence. His mother, Huma Hatun, watches as her child enters a world of palace intrigue, assassination, and relentless ambition. From his earliest years, young Mehmed proves himself different from other princes of the blood. While his brothers concern themselves with the pleasures of court life, Mehmed devours knowledge with an insatiable hunger. He masters Arabic, Persian, Greek, Latin, Serbian, and Hebrew. He studies mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. He reads the histories of Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, and something stirs within him, a vision of conquest that will never fade. But it is the ancient city on the Bosphorus that captures his imagination above all else. Constantinople, the queen of cities, the last bastion of the Byzantine Empire. Even as a child, Mehmed becomes obsessed with its towering walls, its legendary defenses, its symbolic power as the unconquered heart of Christendom. His tutors recall a boy who would draw maps of the city, studying its weaknesses, planning sieges that existed only in his fevered imagination. When asked what he dreamed of, the young prince answered without hesitation, "Constantinople. I will take Constantinople, or Constantinople will take me." At the age of 12, circumstances thrust Mehmed onto the throne. His father, Murad, weary of governance, attempts to retire, leaving the empire in his son's untested hands. The result is disaster. Christian crusaders see weakness and opportunity. The young sultan faces rebellion, invasion, and humiliation. Within 2 years, Murad is forced to return, reclaiming the throne from his inexperienced son. For Mehmed, this failure is transformative. He retreats to the provincial city of Manisa, where he spends the next years preparing himself, studying military strategy, forging alliances, learning from his mistakes. He will not be caught unprepared again. When his moment comes, he will be ready. That moment arrives in February 1451. Murad II dies, and Mehmed, now 19 years old, becomes sultan for the 2nd time. But this is not the uncertain boy of 8 years prior. This is a man of iron will and singular purpose. Within days of his coronation, he begins planning the greatest military operation of the medieval world. Constantinople in the 15th century remains one of humanity's greatest achievements. Founded by Emperor Constantine in 330 AD, it has served as the capital of the Eastern Roman Empire for over a millennium. Its Theodosian walls, constructed in the 5th century, have never been breached by an enemy force. For 1,000 years, invaders have broken themselves against those legendary fortifications. The city sits on a triangular peninsula protected by water on 2 sides and by miles of walls on the 3rd. The Golden Horn, a natural harbor to the north, is guarded by a massive chain that can be raised to prevent enemy ships from entering. The Sea of Marmara protects the southern approach. Only from the west can a land army approach, and here the triple-layered Theodosian walls stand as an impenetrable barrier. Previous Ottoman sultans have tried and failed to take this prize. Bayezid I laid siege to the city for years without success. Murad II, Mehmed's own father, was forced to withdraw in disgrace. European observers mock young Mehmed's ambitions. How can this youth succeed where greater men have failed? But Mehmed possesses something his predecessors lacked: a systematic, scientific approach to warfare. He understands that Constantinople's walls, however formidable, are a product of their age. They were designed to withstand catapults and battering rams, not the devastating new technology that Mehmed has in mind. In the Hungarian city of Buda works an engineer named Orban, a master cannon maker whose weapons represent the cutting edge of military technology. When the Byzantine emperor cannot afford his services, Orban travels to the Ottoman court, where Mehmed welcomes him with open arms and an open treasury. The Sultan asks Orban a single question: can you build a cannon large enough to breach the walls of Constantinople? Orban's answer changes history: I can cast a cannon capable of blasting the walls of Babylon itself. Over the following months, Orban constructs a monster. The Great Bombard, as it comes to be known, measures over 27 feet in length and can fire stone balls weighing over half a ton. It requires 60 oxen and 400 men to transport. Nothing like it has ever existed. When test-fired, the sound can be heard from 10 miles away. Pregnant women in nearby villages miscarry from the shock. But Mehmed's preparations extend far beyond a single weapon, however devastating. He orders the construction of a massive fortress on the European shore of the Bosphorus, directly across from an earlier Ottoman fortification on the Asian side. Together, these structures give him complete control of the strait, strangling Constantinople's supply lines. He builds a fleet of over 100 ships. He gathers an army of 80,000 soldiers, perhaps the largest military force assembled in Europe since the Roman era. He stockpiles food, ammunition, and siege equipment. He recruits engineers, miners, and specialists from across the known world. And through it all, he maintains an air of deceptive calm, assuring Byzantine ambassadors that he has no hostile intentions towards their city. When they finally realize the truth, it is too late. On April 6, 1453, Mehmed's army arrives before the walls of Constantinople. The defenders watch in horror as an endless tide of soldiers, cannons, and equipment flows across the landscape. Behind those ancient walls stand fewer than 7,000 men: Greeks, Venetians, Genoese, and a handful of volunteers from across Europe, against an Ottoman force that outnumbers them more than 10 to 1. The Byzantine emperor, Constantine XI Palaeologus, knows his situation is desperate. He has pleaded with Christian powers of Europe for assistance, but meaningful help has not materialized. The Pope has promised a crusade that never comes. Venice and Genoa send token forces, but nothing that can shift the balance. Constantinople stands virtually alone against the Ottoman onslaught. Yet these defenders possess advantages of their own. The Theodosian walls remain formidable, and they are commanded by Giovanni Giustiniani, a Genoese soldier of genius. They know that every siege in history has favored the defender, that time is their ally, that disease, shortage, and frustration have broken countless armies before these very walls. On April 12th, Orban's monster cannon speaks for the first time against Constantinople's walls. The explosion is unlike anything the defenders have witnessed. Stone balls the size of tables slam into the ancient fortifications, sending showers of debris into the sky. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Theodosian walls begin to crack. But the defenders adapt. They work through the night to repair the damage, filling breaches with earth and timber. The great cannon, for all its destructive power, can only be fired 7 times a day before it must cool. And within weeks, it cracks from the strain of its own explosions, killing Orban himself. The walls are damaged but not defeated. Mehmed attempts to break the chain across the Golden Horn, sending his fleet against the Byzantine naval defenses. The attack fails catastrophically. On April 20th, Ottoman ships engage a small relief fleet from Genoa. Despite overwhelming numerical superiority, the Ottoman navy is humiliated, their ships burned and scattered, while the Christian vessels slip safely into the harbor. Watching from the shore, Mehmed is consumed by rage. He rides his horse into the water, screaming at his defeated admirals, threatening executions. For a moment, it seems the young sultan might break under the pressure of command. But Mehmed does not break. Instead, he conceives a plan so audacious that his own generals believe it impossible. If his ships cannot breach the chain across the Golden Horn, he will go around it. He orders the construction of a massive wooden roadway greased with animal fat, stretching overland from the Bosphorus to the Golden Horn, a distance of nearly 2 miles across the hills behind the Genoese colony of Galata. On the night of April 22nd, Ottoman sailors begin dragging their ships out of the water and across this improvised causeway. By morning, 70 ships have been transported overland and launched into the Golden Horn, behind the Great Chain. The defenders wake to find enemy ships in waters they believed impregnable. The psychological impact is devastating.